So last night on Instagram, AOC did a really good job explaining about how the way we talk about billionaires is totally off base. And we have to get beyond the supposed dichotomy of the good billionaire and the bad billionaire and get to the root of the problem, which is that billionaires existing in our current society is a sign of societal sickness, injustice, illness, corruption, what have you, because billionaires existing can only happen if regular working class people aren't getting their basic necessities. And AOC is saying that's where we need to focus. We can't fangirl or fanboy over our favorite billionaires, nor can we put all of the blame on a few evil individual billionaires. We have to look at a system. So I want to break down what she wrote and sort of go through it in a few little chunks here. So let's start right from the top. She says, the question of billionaires is less about being good or bad individually and more about the immorality of a system and economy that not only allows abuse of everyday people, but financially rewards the people who profit off not paying workers a living wage, keeping medicine expensive, profiting off incarceration and war, building unethical and unsustainable food systems, or otherwise hoarding unthinkable levels of wealth for the very few by denying basic dignities of life for the many, aka a living wage, healthcare, peace, worker protections, not burning our planet to death for fossil fuel interests, etc. And so what she's saying there is very crucial. Look, you can have a billionaire that on an individual basis is progressive and philanthropic and tries to advance good causes, in their own country and around the world, and some of them do that, but their existence is only possible. The existence of a billionaire is only feasible if you have all of these other systems in place. That a billionaire won't exist without fundamental inequities in society. And maybe some billionaires make their wealth in more inequitable ways than others, but the inequity is it's inseparable from making billionaires and sustaining billionaires and passing on, humongous amounts of wealth generation to generation. When you look at the issues that regular people are suffering with, they cannot be decoupled from the fact that billionaires exist. You cannot solve them all. You can maybe tinker with them, but you cannot solve them unless you fundamentally eliminate billionaires. And she says here, if I had $1 billion, which people need to understand is just not even on the same planet as having millions of dollars, while people are dying because they can't afford insulin, it's important people understand that those two things are connected. It means I would likely have investments in systems that rely on exploitative models, inflated medicine prices, lobbying for low taxes or exploitation wages that mean we can't have universal healthcare, reliance on fossil fuel corporations destroying our planet, industries that profit off carceral systems and prison labor or child labor, etc. I say that because $1 billion is a system's money. That it is a scale that for the most part you don't get to with wages or savings or being a movie star. It doesn't matter how quote unquote good a person I am or anyone is, that concentration of wealth and level of inequality is a social ill. Billionaires are a symptom of a society that does not afford people basic elements of dignity. Climate change, lack of healthcare, underpaying jobs, housing crisis, racial injustice and colonization, these are all connected. But also, I just don't want $1 billion. Why would I? That concentration of wealth comes at a cost, and the cost is destabilizing society. And this is sort of what Bernie Sanders has often noted, that fundamentally, you can't really build a just society as long as billionaires exist. And you might not be able to get rid of billionaires all at once. But once you start to plan a society around the reality that the eventual goal has to be the end of billionairehood, the end of people being able to earn that amount of money or hoard that amount of money or inherit such amounts of money, is going to be the first step to realizing that you can build something better. And that these people with such concentrated wealth and therefore such concentrated power are a barrier not only to social improvement, but even to democracy in some way. And so AOC is really carrying on the torch for Bernie in that discussion. And what she says here to close is if people want we can revisit the billionaire question when everyone has healthcare, climate change is addressed, people have actual dignified standards of living, etc. Basically saying, harking back, if only unintentionally, to Harold Lasky, influential scholar, member of the Labour Party, socialist intellectual, who often said, the mark of a just society is that people should not have luxury until everyone has necessity. There should not be superfluity for some until there is the basic needs for all. And one thing we can certainly say is that billionaires exist with an ungodly amount of luxury and wealth and superfluous income and resources, while millions in developed countries, but especially around the world, continue to suffer deeply. And fundamentally, we do not yet have a just enough world where we can entertain people being that rich. So I think this is a good way of looking at it, guys. Moralization of billionaires and of wealth inequality, it has a place. I get the appeal. There's a value in that populist notation. But fundamentally, this is a systems issue. It goes beyond whether an individual billionaire does something cool that you like versus an individual billionaire that does something uncool that you hate. It's that billionaires are really the symptom of a sick society. We want to heal that society on the left. And that means that we need to not only ensure that resources, which are not always unlimited, go to the causes and the people that need the most, but that people with high levels of wealth can no longer use that wealth to distort the social and political and economic process. If the left starts to speak like this more in the United States, they will be far closer to actually challenging the billionaires and their pinnacle of power.